That's a crazy story. From, calling yourself the 22 agents on the team, you've got a pretty large team, a massive amount of lead sources. Last 12 months, Jason, what have been the results?
We normally somewhere between 200 and 250 units a year, between 40 to 60 million dollars. As a team lead, you have a currency, and that's opportunities. I try to reward the opportunities to those who are creating their own opportunities. I believe everybody needs to have multiple lead sources. We are experiencing a downturn. Some markets are even crashing. Those who are referral only, they're the ones that are really, really getting crushed. Referrals are great, but you got to diversify. Our best lead source today.
All right, folks, we are back, and I got a great one for you here today. We have Jason Lash, and he's a real estate agent out of Michigan, runs a successful team out there. And I found, Jason, thanks to the algorithm, quite frankly, right? Facebook started putting out his content in front of me, and, the algorithm knows me better than I know myself. And he says, hey, Jason's a guy you should listen to. And I go, well, let's check Jason out. And he's been putting out, just really, really interesting content around, everything from like team building to lead generation to, AI, really funky AI photos every now and then. Just a lot of really interesting marketing stuff. And seems to be a really, really thoughtful guy. So I said, hey, let's have Jason over for a conversation because he does this stuff really well, really great at marketing, uses Facebook groups also really effectively. So I wanted to just, chat, with a practitioner. And Jason put out this really awesome piece of content about the best lead sources that his team has used. And that was awesome. Even the way you presented it, right? It had its own like little landing page. I want to drill into that whole project because I think it's a great blueprint that agents should use to give out like lead magnets and those kinds of information. It's very valuable. It's really, really useful, very valuable. We should all be doing that with our audience. It's kind of one of my big things. So anyways, that's my intro. Jason, why don't you give us a quick, 30-second,
Sure.
Summary. Who is Jason Lash?
Who's Jason Lash?
Why are you... Yeah,
why still trying to find myself if we're going to be honest. So, I'll give you kind of a rundown on me. So I started in the mortgage world in the 90s. 2008 hit, and I got kicked out of the mortgage world. Every place I went out of business or got bought out. We are located here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we were, Michigan was one of the states that was ground zero, the last crash. After the third company in about 6 months, either getting bought out or going under, I said, I'm done with mortgages. I'm getting out. And I tried to find a job, and frankly, no one would hire me. So I became a realtor. That's literally why if anybody would have offered me $40,000 salary, and I would have done it. So married at the time I had a newborn. I was still married, but at the time I had a newborn. That newborn turns 18 this week or next week. But a lot of pressure on me to provide for my family. And I became a realtor just because of that. Now, I was getting offers. I was getting offers as telemarketing or being ISA, not for real estate. And, nothing against the industry, but I figure if I'm going to telemarket, I'll just sell my own product. And that I went to there. So I started off with a national franchise of ERA Real Estate in November of 2008. In 2010, the franchise owner went out of business. ERA is still around, great company. But my first full year in 2009, I was the number one solo agent in the entire state of Michigan at ERA Real Estate by simply cold calling. I had zero technology. I know on my page I talk a lot about technology and leads. 100% cold calling. Expires and FSBOs was my thing. I had a phone with a cord. Whitepages.com. We'd go on the MLS. Here's the day's expires. Try to find the phone numbers and get as many signs out there as I possibly could. And pretty quickly, I had about 20 signs out there, and I couldn't handle all the calls from all the signs. This was kind of pre-Zillow and all that, so people were still calling off the signs at that point, which they'd still do, by the way. And that's why I hired a buyer's agent. I didn't even know what a team was, and that's how the team started. That's where it started. Now, once I got myself out of debt, I started reinvesting into systems and by investing into leads, into technology. Failing at a lot of stuff, learning, figuring what doesn't work and does work, and just when we kind of get the model together, you start scaling it. And fast forward it now, in 2025, we have a team, and I think we're 22 agents on our team, cover about a third of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. When we talk to Michigan, they always gonna pull the hand out, so kind of like that. So on the west side of the state. And we're growing like crazy here. Look at even exploring some opportunities in some other markets right now. But it comes down with leads, which are really opportunities.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So, that's a crazy story, from, calling yourself, hiring a buyer's agent to 22 agents,
Yep.
on the team. That's pretty amazing growth. And, one of the ways to scale, well, I'd say one of the ways, one of the requirements to scale is to have like lead sources, lead
Mhm.
levers, right? Or, whatever you want to call it. You
Absolutely.
got to have something that can scale up. If it would just, Jason's personal database,
No.
that can get you a few deals for sure. You can have a business there for you, maybe, but not for 22 people. So let's say you've tried it all, right? You've tried a bunch of
Sure.
you started cold calling. I know you're big in the internet, so you put out this document, which I thought was fascinating, about like the top lead sources. What motivated you to build that? And tell us, give us the goods, give us the nuggets.
So,
What are
so
the
for,
best lead sources out there, Jason? Go for it.
that's a great question. No one's ever asked me if motivated. One did motivate me. I kind of give 99% of what I do away. I've always been that way. A side hustle. I kind of coach and speak at some conferences and stuff like that. And a coach one time said, good coaches give everything away for free, and they get hired to help implement it. So I always give my stuff away. Like I said, 99% of the stuff I will tell anybody. So I believe everybody needs to have multiple lead sources. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of realtors out there that just got in the business the last 4 or 5 years, and they've been killing it. And congratulations, and the referral only, and congratulations. But I'll tell you this much right now, we are experiencing a downturn. Most markets, some markets are even crashing. I'm hearing some horrible numbers about Las Vegas. I've been hearing some horrible numbers about the West Coast. Florida, I know, is really taking it on the chin right now. Those who are referral only, they're the ones that are really, really getting crushed. There are people in those markets actually expanding and taking over market share. And I'll tell you why. So I've been through multiple crashes, even going through the mortgage days. When people are hurting, the last person they want to call is their friend. So if they're filing bankruptcy, if they're lost their job, if there's a divorce, something like that, they're embarrassed. They rather go find somebody else, somebody impartial. So that's, referrals are great. You should always still be doing referrals, but you got to diversify. You got to have, if you're a rookie, if today was your first day as an agent, I would say you need to start off with 4 lead sources. At least 4. Expires could be 1. FSBOs could be 1. Circle prospecting could be 1. Referrals is 1. Or open houses, door knocking. None of this costs any money really, but you find 4 different lead sources. That's where you start. And the reason why we go with 4, there are 4 pillars. So let's say, hey, the market's strong and we don't have a lot of expireds. Well, great, you got FSBOs. So as one goes down, the other goes up. So you want to diversify. You got to have at least 4 lead sources. As a matter of fact, anybody who's watching this right now, if they come away with anything, diversifying your lead sources is going to be one of them. Please don't be a referral only agent. Referrals are great, but make sure you multiply them. So hopefully that answers that question there.
Yeah, 100%. And which is, I think is interesting. You're saying, because a lot of folks say you got to try a new lead source, but they're talking about growth. I think you're talking about risk management. You're saying, hey, it's tough times right now, right? We're what is it, 20-30% under the peak from a few years ago. Like this is the market that we're in. It doesn't seem to be getting any better anytime soon. That's kind of we've been the industry's been around 3.94 million transactions for 3 years now. Okay. Yeah. Like you can call that, pent up demand, a temporary blip. 3 years is a really long time. Like a lot of people, will leave the industry effectively, right? If they can't get enough deals happening. So that's the level that we're at. You're saying to mitigate that, to navigate the storm, you better be getting business from more than one place, and not just for growth, but the weather the storm, and maybe even looking for an opportunity to expand.
And that's a business too. Burger King doesn't sell hamburgers just to their friends and family. That's the difference between having a job or having a business. You got to diversify your business. I personally, and everybody's got an opinion, I believe we have another 12 to 18 months of a downturn before we're going to turn it up. I don't know where bottom's going to be. It's going to land. I don't feel like it's going to be a 2008 crash, but we definitely are. We're not at bottom yet. We're going to be sliding here through next year. NAR's already released numbers. Agents are leaving the industry. I'm sure we've all seen that. But again, at the same time, there's some of us out there that are gaining market share.
100%. 100%. I think that's so. We got to remind people that that's also both things can be true at the same time. Both things can be true. But Jason, okay, so some people might have trouble wrapping their head around that. Market's not doing well. Market's not growing. The market's not expanding. We're not having more transactions than we did last year, and or from a couple of years ago. We're having less transactions. There's less agents out there. But you just said something interesting. Some teams are gaining market share. Some teams are growing. Some teams are beating the market. How?
Leads is one, marketing is one, and I've kind of shifted my business more towards marketing than as far as leads, sources, buying leads. So that's one, is just expanding, not, getting aggressive. Is the thing Warren Buffett says, something, be aggressive when there's fear, and be fearful when other people are aggressive, something along, or greed or something like that. But be aggressive, invest into your brand, invest into your marketing, invest into lead generation. If you're running a team or a brokerage, now is a great time to recruit. I know in my market, I've been running a team for a long time. I have never seen in September, this early in the year, usually I make a joke, we have recruiting season in Michigan, which is usually when it starts to snow. But I haven't seen, going back to July, I haven't seen this many agents out there looking for jobs in the summertime as I do now. So it's, again, another opportunity for, if you're running a team or a brokerage, to expand that way. If you got a product if you got a service, you can help these agents grow their business. Use it now, leverage it now. So there's just they're taking advantage of the opportunity. I had another coach at one time, one of the smartest things he's ever said is, where there's chaos, there's opportunity. Sure as a heck a lot of chaos right now.
Yeah, 100%. And so, you recommend having at least, 4 lead sources for your team, for your company. How many do you guys think you guys have? Is it?
That's what I was just running a report.
4 times 22.
We're in the 20s right now as far as lead sources. Wow. They come and go with me depending on where we're at. I just was auditing my leads yesterday, preparing for 2026. We should all be preparing for 2026. Let's be honest, it's September right now, so any buyers you get today are probably closing in January. So this your first paychecks for next year you're writing right now based on your activity. So we got about 20 different lead sources or so. A lot of our stuff does come from marketing, if you want to call marketing, and buying. I don't buy as many leads as I used to do that, which there's nothing against that. Just we're at a stage where we don't need to do that.
I gotcha. And when you say marketing, can you unpack that a little bit? Because buying leads, everyone knows that. The Zillows, the Realtors, the Googles, the Facebooks, marketing agency, there's a million of them. But when you say you've shifted more towards marketing, because you're not the first person to tell me that this year. A lot of really successful team owners are doing the exact same thing, right? For a lot of reasons. But one of them is, number one, you're not new in the industry, you're not new in your market. You don't have to buy as many leads as you used to if you want to expand aggressively. But what does that mean for you guys? You've shifted more towards marketing. Tell me more about that.
So let's talk about, first of all, the difference between buying leads and marketing in my mind. And I don't know if this has really been defined, but I believe Google pay-per-click and Google local service ads, that's marketing. That's me self-generating something. This is me putting an ad, people fill things out and come back to me. That's ran self-managed by me. Let me rephrase that. So Top Real Estate, my Google LLC is ran by Top Real Estate Systems. Nicole Gaudet out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. If you're going to get into Google local service ads or Google LLC, I highly recommend you reach out to Top Real Estate Systems or Trust. Just Google it, go on their website, fill out a form. They do a phenomenal job. And again, Google pay-per-click, I self-manage it myself. That's a moving target. So you always got to be watching that. So if you're going to dive into Google pay-per-click, but the nice thing about self-managing it, I can adjust my budgets accordingly. If I need more leads, I can turn it up or turn it down, scale it up or down based on, the activities of my team or agent count on my team. So I consider that market.
What does the back end look like for that? What's the IDX, the website, the whole thing?
So I use Sierra Interactive as my website. Cool. Sierra does a great job as far as landing pages and capturing information. We use Follow Up Boss as a CRM system. Also use Fellow. Big fan of Fellow. Fellow will skip trace every buyer lead we got coming in and try to find the home address for the person. And also then we start getting some selling marketing, listing marketing towards those people. And the Fellow does a lot of things, lead scoring and so forth. Go ahead and look into Fellow. Hifellow.com, I think, is the website, HIFELLO.com.
So you self-manage a lot of the marketing. So
I do self-manage it.
Just paying somebody else.
Yeah, I like to self-manage it because that way I can customize it. The other thing is my marketing, my Google pay-per-click in particular, it's really hyper-focused locally. All these companies out there, and then their model is, here's our 30 keywords. Here's our ads, insert zip code, insert city name. And it's the same thing that they're going to do in Grand Rapids that they do in Tampa, Florida, or San Francisco. Just insert zip code, insert city name. And one thing I found is these companies here, they don't know about the boardwalk condos. They don't know about the subdivisions. I really, really try to micro target it down. You'd be surprised. Buyers will fall in love with a condo development or a subdivision or a development or, a new construction project. And then they're just going to stalk the heck out of it and just keep Googling condos for sale in this building. And so I want to own all the buildings. I want to own all that. And you're going to find if you're doing a pay-per-click, the cost per click is much lower than that because there's a lot less competition as opposed to just best real estate agent in Grand Rapids. Well, that's
super expensive.
That's the one everybody has, and I don't want to pay $3 a click. So I don't want to pay $100 a lead.
No, 100%. So I love that. And and when you talk about marketing, self-managed Google pay-per-click, you've got a company helping you out with Google LSA. Anything else you would wrap in there?
So those are good ones. We just switched to Zillow Flex, and we were a Zillow paid. So Zillow Flex just opened up in my market. They opened up 10 teams by August 1st. So we're 1 month into it. We are one of the initial 10 teams. I was told it's 10 teams. One of the initial 10 teams in my market. I'll talk a lot about Zillow. So Zillow is a great lead source. I mean, and by the way, going back to leads, there's two numbers you need to look at, and this is super important here. So obviously, we want to look at return on investment. Am I breaking even? Am I making money? My recommendation is if you're running the leads, you should be making a minimum of 5 times ROI. That's a minimum. That's not rich.
Oh, wow.
If you're putting the time into it, so you should be about 5 times ROI. If you're a team lead and passing leads out there, you should be a minimum of 2 times ROI. You should at least be doubling your money. Okay, that's after all the splits and everything.
Factoring splits.
Yep, and
Jason, over what time frame do you measure? Is it like a 90-day window, 1-year window, 18-month window? ROI is a function of time, right?
Yeah, no, and that's the other number is you got to look at the cash conversion cycle. Every lead source closes on a different cash conversion cycle. So, for instance, Facebook ads, it's almost 2 years. It's about 19 months for a Facebook lead to come in. So now the ROI, you're going to find if the longer the cash conversion cycle is, the higher the ROI is. So I could generate leads at $4, $5, $6 a lead on Facebook. And I remember when I used to get them for $0.15, but now, it's gone up. So which is great. So I'm going to make a lot of money here. But however, the cash conversion cycle is those leads are not closing for, this is for next, on average, this will be fall of next year, if not 2027. And I'm still going to be closing deals at that time. So it's great. So let's pile those up. And then the other number you want to look at is what is your close rate? So, social media, we're going to be less than 1%, which means I got to need about 125 leads for one closing at $5 a lead. You're going to see some good ROI in 2027. So the social media stuff we're closing now is that. Now let's keep talking about that. Zillow is roughly about 90 days. Wow. Okay. That's, we find that Zillow leads close pretty quick on average. So I actually believe it's 88 days for our team. They close at a 5%, which means that's about 20 leads for one closing. However, if you look into Zillow, each market is going to be different. Some of these leads are $1,000 a lead, $1,500 a lead, at least in my market. Easily. Average sale price of $350,000. Do the math. This doesn't make sense. So we're going to find a lot of these teams out there, and in particular the Zillow teams out there, where they put up some big numbers, and God bless them. Man, you look at that P&L, it's ugly. It's ugly. I've coached Zillow teams, and that's, again, why you diversify. I like Zillow, but I have to be very choosy when I was buying Zillow and what markets I was going to be in. I couldn't get the sexy markets. So you're going to find every lead source. Those are a couple different ways there. I'm going to throw one out there, and this is an important one for us. So our best lead source today is still open houses. We have a 9% close rate. If it's the follow-up and everything's done right, it's 9%. It's almost 10 leads. And they close in roughly about 90 days, similar to Zillow.
Wicked. Oh, but the cost is, like, holy cow. ROI on that must be phenomenal.
Yeah. By far, our best, that is our best lead source. It is open houses.
Gotcha. 100%. Okay. So, a lot to unpack there. Let me ask you a question about Zillow. So that is, and again, I don't want to get into the religious war. I'm not a Zillow. I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater. I try to look at it. I try to call balls and strikes with Zillow. They do some things unbelievably well. They have a first-in-class consumer experience. So you can't ignore Zillow. You do it at your peril if you want to ignore Zillow. And Jason, you got a really interesting perspective. You were on Premier for a while. Now you're transitioning to Flex. You mentioned profitability, right? If you don't watch your numbers on Premier, even Premier can be unprofitable for you very, very quickly. Yeah. What about Zillow Flex? It's early. But you got the numbers in front of you. Is Zillow Flex going to be better for you guys? Worse for you guys? What's your take on Zillow Flex?
So you asked a question before that I didn't answer here, and that's going to tie into this. So what I do is with every lead source, I try to give it 90 days. I don't need to turn a profit in 90 days, but 90 days should be a big enough window for me to say, okay, I get it. Is this going to work or not work? So we're on day 34 right now in this. When I switch over to Zillow Flex, they promised me a lot of different areas and zip codes that I didn't have before. So we're 34 days into it. We're doing our weekly calls, and we're still working on it. That's a process. So I believe at this point we have 2 pending. So 1 or 2 pending. We do have things under contract, nothing closed yet, so no profit from it at all. So we'll see if they deliver how they promise. It's going to be great. But we're 34 days into it, and we're still working on things.
Early. Yeah, 100%. And then this whole concept of open houses. Holy cow! You have a team of 22 people. How do you get 22 people really good at open houses? Because that's because I've seen it. Open houses is 100%. Like an execution game, right?
Sure.
There's no fancy marketing. Well, I mean, no, I don't know. Tell me. There's no, technology stack. You have to like build out landing pages, CRM for that. It's like 100%, belly to belly, full contact sport, sales. How do you get? Do your 22 people do open houses? How do you scale that up?
Yeah, so that's a great question here. That's something we use to motivate the agents. If they want to be on lead rotation, there's requirements. If there's certain key performance indicators that we look for, and if they're struggling, the open house is a great place for them to go to kind of fill in some of the gaps there. So going back to open houses, I do believe open houses need to be marketed. I don't believe if you're just going to sit in a house and say I'm open and put it listed on the MLS, it's going to take more than that. And this is old school stuff here. So I'm not the first one to say this, but make sure you door knock the neighborhood. The 5-5-10. Look at the house, 5 to the right, 5 to the left. Invite those neighbors, 10 across the street. I like to put out at least 20 signs. I've heard people put out 50 signs, directional signs. So really point it to there. Just make it a neighborhood, or make it a community event. You don't have to do open houses just for your listings or your team listings. There is no law. Now, brokerages will have different internal policies, but there's no law saying I can't do a open house for ABC Realty if I want to. But even if nobody shows up, I got to door knock the neighborhood. It was a good excuse to door knock the neighborhood. I put a bunch of signs out there, so it was a bunch of advertising. Did a Facebook Live, all that other social media stuff. And another thing is, there's nothing wrong doing an open house on a Wednesday at 10 in the morning. There's no rule again saying it has to be there. So 100%. Again, if nobody shows up, look at the activities you just did.
100%. I love that because it's you gotta. There's a lot involved in open houses, but it was always one of my top lead sources. Like every single open house, I would almost like clockwork. I would get at least one solid lead, brand new, unmet, person I spoke to, connected with, right? Had a really good conversation with them. And we would take it from there, right? And that, in the marketplace, back then was worth $400, $500, $600 to buy a lead. Of all the leads you had to buy to get one to have a really good connection and a good conversation with, right? So I'm like, hey, that's $500 an hour. Split however you want. It was $200-$300 an hour for me to sit in an open house for a couple hours on a Saturday, Sunday. And one thing I wish I did, Jason, I wish I would have did one every day if I didn't have any appointments. I mean, that's my lead gen activity. Like just boom, put up my signs, post it on the MLS, boom, be out there and generate one really good lead every single day.
There's days where I've just unloaded up with paperwork and crap to do, stuff to do. And if I could do it at my office here, I can do it at someone else's house. Why not do it in someone else's house? Even on a Thursday at 11 in the morning, who cares? Gives me an opportunity to door knock the neighborhood, get out a little bit and do some additional marketing. And I'm going to be doing stuff anyway. So why don't I just do it someplace else? I don't have people just walking into my office saying they want to buy a house, but if I do an open house, you'll get some people walk in there. So just do it there.
100%. I love that. And you mentioned a couple of things there. You mentioned that there's something, you have like a lead rotation on your team. So, you've got, and you guys measure KPIs. So you've got some accountability systems, built into the team. One of my questions was going to be, that scale aspect of it, right? You can have 2 or 3 agents that are super productive. Having 22 agents that are productive it's a completely different problem than having 2 or 3 people like and trust, and they're just good. And they're just good because they're going to be good no matter what. 22 people, it's hard to get lucky and get 22 people that self-managed, self-driven. What systems, what process do you use to get 22 people to be productive?
It's literally an hour and a half ago. We just announced a change to this area, so this is interesting. So this topic's hot. I even got the notes right here. So we just changed this, and my coach will be very proud of me. So it's pretty easy. So what we do is every Monday I'm going to adjust lead rotation based on what happened the previous week, and and we want to reward those that are doing the activities. So there's multiple ways you could be on lead rotation. First off, you have at least three pending, you're good. Okay, 3 pending, you're good. You're on lead rotation. You get a hall pass. Okay. 22-minute conversations. We track this through Follow Up Boss. 22-minute conversations through with anybody. So calling your database, calling if you're working in a hot buyer, you call them 5 times. That's 5 right there. So 22-minute conversations in a week. Again, we're just doing a week here. So that'll get you there. You book 3 appointments. An appointment is going to be, there's 2 things for appointments. First time you're meeting in person, or if you haven't talked to one of your past clients or some of your database, you want to take them out for a cup of coffee, you haven't talked to them in 90 days, it's kind of an honor system, but if you haven't talked to them in 90 days, that counts too. Okay. So 3 appointments, 3 pending, 20 conversations, or if you just make 300 dials. So we try to make it super, super easy. And at the end of the day, these are the activities that are going to, when we're here, at the end of the day, this is still business. We're here to support our families, earn an income. And these activities, and trying to support the activities and the people that are doing the activities, we reward them with the hotter leads, with the Zillow leads, with the ISA leads that come from the ISAs and so forth. So we reward the activities.
Glengarry leads.
There you go. Yeah. Glengarry.
100%. I love that. Yeah, because as teams expand, as teams grow, this becomes the game. Like, what is your accountability system? Do you have a standard? Most teams don't actually, right? They don't have a standard that they hold people to, or they try to. It's like you said, you just changed it. It's a moving target. You don't solve this problem once and it goes away. This is, you're constantly trying to tweak and adjust and everything. So one quick question about your accountability system. You didn't mention the magic word contacts, because a lot of teams run their KPIs around contacts. Any particular reason for that, or just something you haven't gotten to?
22-minute conversations. 22-minute conversations. Gotcha. So they can do any of those, by the way. They can do any of these. So if they do 22-minute conversations, or just 300 dials in a week, if you make 300 dials, and when Follow Up Boss has a dialer built in, a lot of CRMs have dialers built in. That's really, this is really a couple hours of actual prospecting, being on the phone.
Okay. And your original business was prospecting based. So you're coming from like a prospecting background. That's how you started. Is that something that has permeated the culture, or you're not hardcore? You're not religious about having to use a specific lead source? Any agent can choose whatever they want.
Yep. And contact. I started off when I was 18 years old at True Green Kemla, and I can still hear my manager saying contact equals sales, and get on the phone, Lash. I can still hear Mike Palermo. If you're still out there, God bless you. I learned a lot from you, as much as you drove me nuts. But contacts equals sales, and that's any sales business. And we can talk about pay-per-click and Zillow and all this stuff. Contacts equals sales, and that's what it comes down to. We got to make contacts.
Yeah, and which way you can get them is fair, is useful, and so you don't get on people's case like, oh, I'm an expireds guy. We should all be expireds, and you should be working those expireds.
Yep, great. You want to call expireds? Great. You want to call FISBOs? Great. You want to call our buyers bond? Great. You want to call pay-per-click? Yeah, we have all the different lead sources, or we do a lot of organic stuff too, a lot of organic traffic to our website, a lot of organic leads. So that's great. Just call somebody, just talk to people. Don't be a secret real estate agent. Be famous.
100%. I love it. And you also mentioned a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is ISA. You guys use the ISA model. Tell me about that. Are they there to do first contact on leads? What's the handoff to an agent? Tell me, this is a topic I can.
I know that's your jam too. So we're using old school ISAs where people actually still pick up the phone. So Zillow all has their internal, and so when we talk about Zillow again, all that goes to internal there. So what we do with we use the ISA service, and on day 2, the lead comes in on day 2. That's when they go after them. I give all my agents first dibs on the leads. So on day 2,
so agents do first contact. They try the first day, and if anything that falls over, the ISA team takes.
Then the ISAs take over, and they call them for a year.
Oh wow. Okay, so they're on the so if it doesn't make a contact, they're trying and trying and
Yep.
trying for the
Trying to
next
get for a
12
year. If they
months.
stay on top of it for a year, then they'll redistribute the lead like it's a new lead to the agents. At any
Gotcha.
given time, the lead stays in the pond. So if any agent says, "Hey, I need to make some contacts," just jump in the pond and call. Yesterday's leads are a 3-day old lead. You can call all the leads, and we, the smart lists and follow up boss. So they
I
can still
gotcha.
call.
And the objective is to hand it off to an agent from the pond. That's what they're working the pond, anything that's uncontacted,
Yep.
and they're trying to hand those off to agents.
Absolutely. Yep. That's what they do. They do it on we set up our lead rotation for that. That's part of my job to set up lead rotation for that. And again, it goes first to claim. So it's a broadcast. First person who swipes gets it.
I got you. No, totally understand that. Yeah, and so their main role for the ISA is that first contact. Once they get first contact, agent is in charge for everything else after that.
Yep. Yep. That's up back on the agent.
I got you 100%. Yeah, no, that means you put a lot of responsibility on your agents because it's one of those questions. Again, there's no right answer to this, right? You ask 3 team leaders, they'll give you 5 answers on how do they want to use their ISAs. A lot of them, they only hand off a mature, nurtured, 90-day-old lead to their agents. Some of them do it the way you do. Hey, I expect my agents to call right away,
yep.
And anything left over goes to the ISA, et cetera, right? So people do it, very differently. So you put a lot of responsibility in your agents. So you got to tell me more about that. So do you have accountability built in on that aspect of it? Because they're on lead rotation. They had to work to get into this, right? Mm-hmm. Do they have any accountability around making sure they're hitting those leads on the first day?
Yeah. So the way we do it is we do lead blocks. You'll get a lead shift. So you might be from 2 to 4 on Wednesday or 3 to. We give everybody in the amount of shifts you get. Again, you have to earn the shifts by working the calls, working the systems, and then we'll put you on a shift. So if somebody's on shift right now from 2 to 4 and they're getting all the fresh leads, they're also getting anybody who's we have a database of about 60,000 people, so we actually get a lot of repeat traffic. So any of our old leads who picked out a house to see, if they're saving houses, activity like that, that's our hot list. So somebody, I don't know who it is, I don't have in front of me, but somebody right now is on that, and they're getting all the fresh leads and all that stuff that comes in. Their shift is over at 4. The next one's from 4 to 6. Then the next person's on. And so we do shifts that way. So they're exclusive.
I got you. Wow, interesting. So that's so you're giving them that option of that exclusivity. That's usually the hard part, right? It might go to like a Shark Tank model. You're assigning its schedule. You have to earn it, right? You earn your schedule on that, your slot on that schedule, and you've got that exclusivity for a few hours and to rock and roll and see whoever comes in.
I found I used to do Shark Tank too, and I used to also send 100% leads to the ISAs and just told the agents who are working the pond they're going to get those leads too. We've been doing this model this way now for about 4 months now, so we're still kind of new into it. We're past that 90-day period, and I have evaluated. I like it. I do like this, so I believe we're going to go forward there. What I like about this is as a team lead, because we're still independent contractors, and legally it's limited what I can ask people to do, or say what it is, force people to do. But as a team lead, you have a currency, and that's opportunities. So I try to reward the opportunities to those who are creating their own opportunities. If you want to come on our team and you want to grind it, you want to work, you want to get in the trenches, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. With that being said, we do still have agents on the team that are part-time and all that stuff, and that's great. They're welcome to be here. They have access to the general pond. They just don't get the fresher leads. If they want it, they can do it. And it's very black and white. So anybody has that opportunity.
I got you. That makes sense. And, Jason, what have been the results? I mean, you've got a pretty large team. You've got, a massive amount of lead sources, some of them very, very exclusive, like a Zillow Flex. Only the top teams in the country get invited to that. So what have been the results? I don't know, last 12 months, what kind of, numbers has your team been able to produce with this model?
So we were at, by the way, full disclosure, I'm saying 20. We were at 13 agents here just a couple months ago. So when I'm telling you there's opportunity for teams to grow, actually, we went from 13 to 22 in about 7 weeks. So there's a lot of opportunities there. We normally somewhere between 200 and 250 units a year, between $40 to $60 million is where we've been the last few years. So I think last year was 203 closings. I believe what we did last year was 203, and I've peaked at about 250 or so.
I got you. 200 to 250, really with a team of 10, 13 agents.
Yeah, it's about that. We average about 20 deals per agent on the team. The average agent on our team who's in full-time will do about $5 million in production.
Gotcha. Awesome. That's
our average sale price is roughly about $350,000, give or take.
I got you. No, it's amazing. Yeah, I think anyone would love 5 million in volume in any of these markets, whether that's 5 units or 15 units, right?
Yep.
Depending on what market you're in,
Yep.
it's a really, really good number. It kind of blasts the average out of the water. If you look at like the average, volume for agents, across
Yeah.
the full-time agents, even full-time agents, right, would love to get something like that. So I think
Yeah,
it's amazing. So
in general, it's hard. I mean, Stephanie, but general, what I found is that agents on teams in general, if it's a lead producing team, they're going to close on average at about 400% more than a solo agent does. So I believe that the NARS number is about 3.5 units per agent, and agents on teams sell roughly around 12. So financially, it seems to work better to be on a team for most agents.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's particularly true for like newer agents.
Yeah.
More
Oh, yeah.
experienced agents, you can argue that. I think you can argue back and forth. That's a good argument to have. New agents, I don't think there's any argument. I don't know why people wouldn't just go in and join a team.
100%.
Because the failure rate is just so high for new agents. Lack of support, lack of training, lack of accountability, lack of systems, everything you can imagine.
Lack of opportunity.
Lack of opportunities. You just don't have any at bats, right? How are you going to get better if you don't have any at bats and you don't have any advice? So yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that. Let's switch gears a little bit, Jason, to you and your social media, personality, which honestly very entertaining, man. I think you put out some really good posts. You mix it up really well with the personal stuff, and then you've got the business pieces. So I mean, I've only been aware of you this year, so it's been a small window. Tell me about. Is that like do you have like a team helping you do this?
No, that's 100% me. Trust me, that's 100% me. So that's okay, the scary stuff. What you're seeing out there, scary stuff in my head. So I'll tell you. So talking about a real estate group called Real Estate Lead Hacks and Masterminding. There was another big page out there, and I was talking to one of the owners of that page about maybe franchising this for a local. That was a thought. I was like, I wanted to do what that group was doing, but I wanted to hyper focus it here for West Michigan, and go from there. We weren't going anywhere at the conversations, and I still love those people, by the way. There's nothing against them at all. So we weren't going anywhere. And I'll tell you what happened. It's so random. And I had a day where I had a little mutiny on my team. By the way, if you've never had a mutiny on a real estate team, if you run a team, you haven't had a mutiny, you're not a team leader yet. Wait till you have a mutiny. So 100%. So when multiple people get together and say we're all leaving together, and I've gone through multiple of those, so then that's part of running a team. So this mutiny happened on Friday. I actually lost 2/3 of my team on a Friday, and it just so happens that Sunday we were going on a family vacation to Orlando, and so if you can imagine the stress and what's in your stomach, I just lost 2/3 of my team, and now my family wants me to go to Orlando and be in a good mood. Holy cow. So the anxiety you have there, I'm not even sleeping on this vacation. So we're at a resort. I can't remember. We're at one of those nice resorts where they have 1,000 pools and all this stuff. And, you have to be there first thing in the morning if you want a chair and an umbrella. And so I was there at 7:00 in the morning, and with an umbrella, it starts raining on me. And I'm just pissed off. I'm pissed off I'm there. I'm pissed off I lost the team. I want to focus on business. I'm just pissed off. And I say, you know what? Screw these people there that I'm negotiating with. We're not even going anywhere. I'm just going to create my own. So under an umbrella, under a storm, with my computer, with my laptop, that's where it came from. 100% organic. I haven't paid to do anything on there. It's 100% organic. And we have about 17,000 people on there. Fast forward it now. It's been around for about 5-6 years now. I post stupid memes on there. Some of the memes have actually gone viral, and that's one of the ways it's grown. I think it's funny when I see my own memes shared back with me with their watermark on it. So I had the one meme that has gone crazy. It's just a picture of Yoda, and it says that this is a meeting with a lender without drinks should be done in an email. And I don't know. And I posted that with a picture of Yoda, and that's gotten over 100,000 views. And that's actually that's actually what really got that silly page up. And it's been fun. Like I said, it's fun. We're adding about 100 people a week now, and it's really, really growing. And been able to leverage it other ways from recruiting. There's some other times with affiliate links and so forth. So it's been monetized a little bit. I probably could do a better job monetizing it. That really wasn't my goal, but it's turned into conversations like this.
You can tell when someone when it's more of a passion project, then you want to hit the monetization too soon. You can't do that with agents. Agents, we get pitched all day, every day. Right? Yeah, like, I think you've done it the right way. I'll be honest with you, you've done it the right way. it's a good balance of monetization, like real content. It's a fun group.
It's fun.
There's some good posts in there.
There's another page out there that there's two pages I can think off the top of my head where it's all fake. Half the stuff they're fake, and you can tell it's fake because the same post is being made by 10 different people. It's all VAs posting or IS. I don't, and I just have no respect for those owners. And if any products being advertised on there, I'm out. Like automatically, I'm out. That's a no-fly list for me for any lead source if it's being on there. I've had those VAs and stuff try to advertise on my page and post things, and I have to approve it, so they get declined every day. On there, that's literally almost daily. I get stuff on there, so yeah, I want to keep it. I want to keep it real. If I'm posting something on there and I'm saying this is a good thing or it's a bad thing, it's legit. I know I've used it. So if I'm saying this lead source is legit, it's not an affiliate link. Maybe there's a affiliate link, but this is something I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that, all the transparency. I love being upfront about it, because I don't know. People watching this might know, because I've posted about this. There's a lot of Facebook groups that have undisclosed, undisclosed affiliate relationship, right? Yep. Isn't that like illegal? And I'm pretty sure you'd be in trouble for that with someone, because you're right. So, a fake account posts, what's the best lead source out there? Or, I just left Remax and I can't find any leads. Something like that, or my personal favorite, like the really racist ones, right? Like
I know. They go, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I can't get any deals. What do I do? Is it because I'm black? You know what I mean? Like really, I don't know, man. They go there like really low, right? Just the worst of the worst, and it gets attention.
It works for them. I mean, it works for them, but
and there's like several groups, and I'm guessing they're all run by the same person or the same group of people. I'm guessing.
I know two of them. They actually are run. There's a service out there. There's a service they hire that they're VAs that post those. It is an actual business model. I know off the top of my head, there's two large pages. One of them has over 300,000 people on it, and no, whatever. I don't know. I'm not doing that.
Who knows? Everything about those groups seems phony to me, so I don't even know. I don't believe half those numbers anymore. Because you can pay to have anything. Now, anyways,
sure.
kind of a tangent there, but I think that's a real thing. If people don't know what we're talking about, like drop a comment and I'll share with you some screenshots I've taken. They're just crazy. I just go a little bit above, and beyond. And I've been banned from some of these groups, by the way. For calling out.
I'm trying to. I call them out. They haven't got me yet. Maybe after this video. It's
pretty evident, right? So, but anyways, kind of going back to it. So, Jason, you seem very intentional with your social media, right? So, have you you've kind of built an audience, you've built a following for this group. Your personal pages are very active. So, you run a team, you're in a business, you're really active on social media. Is there like a VA helping you do this? Do you just time? How do you do it?
ChatGPT a little bit, but and you usually tell ChatGPT wrote it if everything's spelled correctly, so that's a good indicator. It's still my thought, but so on the Real Estate Lead Hacks and Masterminding page here, a lot of I schedule that stuff out, and some of the times that stuff
I'll batch it together. You'll batch some posts together, save a little bit of time, get efficient about it.
I'll sit down on a Sunday or whatever, and let's kick out 30 of them. Then throughout the day, I'll interact and I'll post something new, something that is relevant, move posts around depending on what's going on in the industry, if there's something to talk about. So a lot of that's scheduled, but it all comes out of time blocking. Every morning I like to throw something on social media, and it takes me 10 minutes of my day. It's time blocking, just like a time block for prospecting, just like a time block for recruiting, and it's and that is marketing. So it's just time block. Going back here, we want to talk about one of the things I really want to focus on is what's my avatar? Who am I marketing to? Am I marketing towards recruiting? Am I marketing towards buyers or sellers? So I make sure that content is somewhat relevant to who I'm marketing to. You'll never see me talk politics. I won't. I believe that's you're pissing off 48% of the database. So let's avoid that here. And I have a personal life too. But I don't post much about pray for fluffy or stuff like that. It's just that's not my style. My database doesn't want to hear that. Who am I talking to? What's my avatar? And that's what those posts are towards.
I got you 100%. Well, Jason, I've got one more question for you. I want to be, mindful of your time. I know you're a busy guy. For you, if you were starting over, right? Typical starting over question, you've got your goal of having those 4 lead sources. 2025, September of 2025. You got 4 buckets you got to fill with lead sources. You want to get your business up and running. Maybe you got another baby on the way. Maybe not. I don't know. You got that motivation. No. You got the motivation. You got to get results quickly.
I hope
what are those 4 buckets for you? September 2025.
Yeah. So that's a different question for every single person. So if I was a brand new agent starting today here, I'm going to tell you old school still works. We can talk about this technology and say it's AI, all this other stuff. Old school still works. So if I was coaching somebody that was brand new to the industry, so let's get 4. We can do one thing. We can spend money or we can spend time. And the majority of new agents don't have the money. I'm stereotyping here, but I'm going to say the average agent doesn't come in with 6 figures in the bank account where they can, let's buy all these lead sources. So I'm assuming that this is a brand new agent that doesn't have a ton of money that needs a deal as fast as possible. So I would start with 4 lead sources. So we're going to talk about referrals. And then we're going to market towards referrals with client events and social media. That's what social media comes. Now, if you don't have money for client events, first of all, client events don't have to be a big deal. It could be a barbecue in your backyard. Just give you a reason to call your database without saying, hey, if you ever think of buying or selling, please call me. I want to give them something. And again, if you don't have the money for that, lean on some lenders or title companies or your broker to help cover the cost of the hot dogs. So it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to rent out a movie theater. Those are great too, but you need to start someplace. So I want referrals, but I want that to tie into client events, and social media is going to come in there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do expireds and FSBOs. Those, you're at 3 right there. I want you calling at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8 to 10 every single day, calling every single expired, and call the old expireds, and keep calling the same expireds over and over again until they either tell you to stop calling them, they list with somebody else, or that you have an appointment with them. Okay, FSBOs come after expires and that, and then I'm going to open houses. And again, it doesn't have to be your open houses. It could be your brokerage open houses, or it could be the other brokerage open houses. I would recommend starting in neighborhoods instead of rural areas. Nothing against doing open houses in rural areas. If you get a listing in a rural area, you should do it. But the reason why I want to do neighborhoods is because I want to door knock the neighbors there. And it's a lot easier to do that in a neighborhood. I'd be focusing on the open houses there. So we've just done 4 things here. You really haven't spent any money. I use My Plus leads for my expired data. That's $58. I think it's $58 a month. Don't quote me on that. You can Google it and find their price there. There might be cheaper ones, but that's who I use as My Plus leads. They'll give you the expires and FSBOs, so you're $58 a month there, and we could lean on some of these vendors for even some of the expense.
I love it. Awesome. Jason, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for making some time today to have a conversation, with me and the audience. So thanks so much. Yeah. And, open invitation. Anytime you have something, a new piece of content out there you put a lot of work into, would love to chat with you about it. Okay.
Awesome. Sounds good. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. All right. Have a great day.
Thanks.